Let us waste no time in going back inside Francois Villain's castle, where last time, you'll recall, the three Musketeers, Athos, Rocky, and Bullwinkle, obtained positions as cooks.
Who's the cake for?
You, Bullwinkle.
But instead of the cake getting inside Bullwinkle, Bullwinkle got inside the cake.
Keep your ears open and maybe you'll hear where Francois hidden the king of applesauce Lorraine.
Keeping my ears open in here is going to be kind of difficult.
The huge cake was set upon the banquet table, but alas, the best-laid plans of moose and men often go astray.
Before I let slip where the king is, I will cut the cake.
It appeared as though Bullwinkle would reach a parting of the ways. But mooses, unlike most of us, are allergic to the insides of cakes. And...
Look at your suit, Mr. Villain.
Never mind the suit. You got whipped cream all over this diary in which I keep all my secrets.
Huh? Well, here, let me clean it up for you.
Moments later, in the castle basement...
Open it up, Portal. Perhaps it will tell us where the king is hidden.
But the only thing that would open the diary was a key which was around Villain's villainous throat.
Leave it to me. I'll get it.
Waiting his chance, Bullwinkle crept up behind the unsuspecting Francois and, taking a pair of scissors, snipped a cord behind his neck. But through a miscalculation, Bullwinkle had severed a pair of suspenders.
What is coming off here?
Your trousers, sir. But it's okay. It's time for your bath.
Leading the way to a door, Bullwinkle opened it, then stood to one side.
Watch out for the first step, Francis. It is a Lulu.
Don't call me Francis. The name is...
That first step was indeed a Lulu, for it ended 200 feet below in the moat.
You ignoramus, look what you have done. Now I will have to change my clothes.
Good. Give me the key to your diary and I'll dry it off for you.
Look, on the last page. Tomorrow I go to the king.
That is it. That is what we are looking for.
It was decided that Bullwinkle, being the least conspicuous of the three, would follow Francois when he went to the king. But the route was a devious one. Over tall mountains, through hotel lobbies, until finally they came to a stop inside a large, dark building.
This must be where the king is.
Bullwinkle was 100% right, except that he was wrong. For the king, as it turned out, was the King Theater, where Francois had gone to see a Chester Morris movie. When the lights came on during intermission, the inconspicuous Bullwinkle was stage center calling...
Yoo-hoo, king! Here, boy, here, boy!
Francois, being an inveterate movie fan, knew that that was not Chester Morris.
So, you have followed me. You are a spy.
Summoning the ushers, who were in reality Francois' henchmen, Bullwinkle was quickly taken captive and transported back to the castle in chains. Furious because he had missed the picture, Francois vented his rage by sentencing Bullwinkle to the guillotine.
Here now, you cut it out.
Not cut it out. Cut it off.
The forlorn moose was placed in position and the blade of the guillotine was raised.
When I say 3, let it drop. 1, 2.
Just a second, Mr. Villain. You've got the wrong moose. I am the leader of the spy ring.
It made no difference to Francois who got it in the neck so long as somebody did. Seconds later, our little squirrel found himself in Bullwinkle's place.
Rocky, what's the matter with you? Have you lost your head?
We'll find out next time in Severed Relations or How to Get Ahead.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs.
That's capital P-I-double-G-S.
Yes, of course. These 3 little pigs, Portland, Penelope, and Alice, were sisters who lived together in a cunning little house, or they did for a while anyway.
Is this the pig residence?
Capital P-I-double-G, pig?
That's it, lady.
Yes, it is.
Got a singing telegram for you. Put on the skillet, put on the lid. Your rich uncle just wound up dead.
What?
That ain't all, I tell you true. He left $1 million to you.
Oh, great.
And all the little piggies got moolah, moolah. All the little piggies got moolah now. Collect.
Yes, the Pig Sisters were now rich beyond their wildest dreams, and the first thing they decided to do was...
Move out of this cunning little house.
So, in a very short time, as these things go, each of the three girls had built a mansion of her own. Portland's was of straw, Penelope's was of sticks, and Alice's of solid brick. Of course, the news of their fortune spread far and wide and finally reached the ears of one Henry Q. Wolfe. Now, there was just one thing that Henry Q. Wolfe wanted in life.
I want to live in a big mansion, and this looks just like my chance.
That was it. Of course, Henry would never think of getting a job and working to get rich.
Ooh, perish forbid.
So he planned to marry one of the Pig Sisters and get rich for free. Oh, he was a rascal.
True, oh, true.
So one day, Henry arrived at the door of Portland Pig.
Now let's see. Method 1, the continental approach. Yes, I'll simply sweep her off her feet. Romance-wise, that is.
Yes, who is it?
Ah, sacre bleu.
What is it?
Your beauty is absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, really?
Ah, chérie, may I entrance?
Well,
Merci beaucoup. Oh, what a charming place you have here. Imported straw. Am I wrong? Am I right?
No. Wait a minute. Who are you?
Allow me to introduce myself, my little pork chop. Count Henry Q. Wolfe. My friends call me Hank. You can call me Hanky.
Well, it looked as if Portland would surely be his victim. He whispered sweet nothings in her ear.
Nothing, 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 and likewise nothing.
He recited poetry to her.
Roses are red, violets are blue. You've a cute little nose, and I do too.
He played the piano. He even showed a keen interest in good books.
Oh, this man has a soul.
Portland seemed most impressed, and Henry, felt that now was the time to pop the question.
Ah, Portland, my petite cochon, will you marry me and make me the rich, happiest man in the world?
Portland's answer came quickly.
No.
Oh, you play the hard to get. I ask you again.
No.
Would you like to think it over till tomorrow? I guess not.
But if you thought this dampened Henry's spirits, you'd be wrong.
Sure, there's still 2 sisters left, you know.
So Henry dashed right over to Penelope's house.
Let's see now, method 2, the caveman approach.
Yes, who is it?
Okay, beautiful, step aside. I'm coming in. Got the place done in early American stick, eh? Nice, I guess. But I'm gonna make a few changes around here, baby.
See here, what do you want?
Just you, that's all, honey bunch. I've made up my mind. You're gonna marry me, baby. How do you like them apples?
Obviously, she didn't like them apples. Now, Henry had only one chance left, and he hurried to Alice's house.
Method 3, the all-out approach. Oh, boy, this one's bound to work.
Yes, what do you...
I love you, I adore you, I worship you, I can't live without you.
Yes, but
Please say you'll marry me.
But-
Please.
Well, all right,
You said yes. Yes, you said yes. Oh, dear rich Alice, you've made me so wealthy, happy.
But I'm...
No time for buts, my pet. Come, let us fly together now.
Well, they were married immediately, and they set off for a whirlwind honeymoon at Niagara Falls.
Look, Alice, you see all the water?
Yes, but
That's enough. Let's go.
And away they went back home, for the wolf couldn't wait to start living in the big brick mansion.
Ah, this is the life, eh, Alice?
Will you listen to me, loudmouth? I'm not... Cassandra! Cassandra, would you come here, please? Coming, madam.
I thought your name was Alice.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. That's rich Alice Pig in there. I'm Cassandra, her poverty-stricken maid, you silly thing.
Well, mistakes will happen.
I'm also your wife, you worm. Get in here.
But Cassandra, ow, honey, ow.
Now, of course, every fairy tale must have a happy ending, so naturally, Henry did get to live in the big brick house surrounded by wealth, but not quite in the way that he'd thought.
Yes, sir. Whom shall I say is calling whom? Whom?
Well, it looks looks as though the three musketeers, Rocky, Bullwinkle, and Athos, are finally getting close to discovering the whereabouts of the king of applesauce Lorraine.
Look what it says in Francois Villain's diary. Tomorrow I will go to the king.
But unfortunately, the king Francois Villain went to was the King Theater.
Goody, goody, a Mickey Mouse cartoon.
It was a moose, all right, but the wrong one. Bullwinkle was taken back to Villain's castle and condemned to the guillotine. It looked as though the show would be minus a moose.
Stop! I'm the spy you want.
And then it looked as though we'd be minus a flying squirrel.
What's coming off here, Rock?
His head in exactly 3 seconds. Ready? Aim. Drop.
The razor-sharp blade hurtled downward, only to strike the back of Rocky's neck and hurtle upward. Then down again, then upward,
What is going on? That blade acts as if it was made of rubber.
which is just what it was, for Rocky had switched blades the night before.
Very well. If I can't kill you, I will put you away. Take him to Chateaubriand.
Dear Bullwinkle, don't try to rescue me. I have a hunch Chateaubriand is where the king is being held. Repeat, don't rescue me.
And at that moment, the cart carrying our wee hero came clattering over the cobblestone street.
Chin up, Rock!
Here, Bullwinkle, catch!
Oh, he's got spunk. Playing with paper airplanes at a time like this.
Alas, Bullwinkle was unaware that that paper airplane was the note Rocky had just written.
See, that gives me an idea.
Rushing to the top of a high cliff, Bullwinkle hastily constructed a large version of the paper airplane.
I will swoop down and pluck that plucky squirrel right off that cart.
But Aramus, that paper airplane will not stay in the air.
I don't see why not. I made it out of fly paper.
With that, he took off and disappeared over the edge. Surprisingly enough, the plane flew. Not only that, but Athos stared in amazement when the plane, its pilot, and a passenger came soaring back to the top of the cliff.
I got him, Athos! I got him!
You got him, all right. You got the driver of the cart.
Undismayed, Bullwinkle made a second attempt.
I got him this time!
You sure have. You got the horse.
I thought he looked kind of big for a squirrel. Well, if at first you don't proceed.
Certain that the third time would be the charm, he took off again. But alas, by now the cart carrying Rocky had rolled downhill and through the main gate of the infamous Chateaubriand. As for Bullwinkle, he did bring someone back to the top of the cliff.
Who is it this time?
I don't know. Claims his name is Lindbergh. I'll try again.
No, the squirrel is already inside the chateau.
Well, let us get him out.
Oui. Now listen. Here is what we will do.
Rocky, meanwhile, had been thrown into Chateaubriand's deepest dungeon and was contemplating his fate.
First I gotta find the king, then I gotta get a message out to Bullwinkle.
Rock!
Hi, Bullwinkle. Then I gotta think of a way to... Bullwinkle, I thought I told you not to rescue me.
But it wasn't a rescue, for Athos' plan to gain access to the prison was to bribe a guard.
Only the guard turned out to be me, Francois Villain.
Thus, the three musketeers found themselves together again, but in a most hopeless situation. And as if that wasn't bad enough, suddenly the walls of the cell began to tremble. Was it an earthquake? We'll find out next time in That's the Way the Cookie Crumbles, or Me and My Chateau.
And now, here to tell us how to better live our lives is Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, lovers of the good life. Today we are going to learn how to avoid tipping the waiter.
Check is $3.29. 15% tip is customary.
Keep a sharp eye now and you will learn to save a fortune. Waiter, heavens to Betsy Ross. There's a live fly in my dessert. I refuse to tip.
Fly is no longer alive. $3.29. Please expect larger tip additional effort.
Which brings us to the fainting method, operating on the simple premise that when you faint, someone will carry you outside for fresh air. Once outside, you're safe. You just leave the money for the check. Oh, waiter. Oh, I'm feeling lightheaded. Oh! This stuff's too good for a show like this. I'm faint. Shh. Something must have gone wrong.
$3.29 plus flowers comes now to $4.74, expecting much bigger tip.
Then there's the disguise method.
Hey, you, moose.
There must be some mistake, waiter. I'm the lady that was sitting by the window. The moose left.
Fine. Lady, your check was $23.68. Tip naturally runs around $5 for even cheapskate.
But I haven't got more than $5 altogether.
Gee, Mr. Know-It-All, you did it. You succeeded in not tipping the waiter.
Yeah, and at $2 a day, I'll have the bill and the tip paid in just a little more than 3 weeks. A month? 6 months? Oh, well, they're closed on Christmas.
Hello again, Peabody here. Today's adventure into the past concerns itself with a notorious bandit.
I'll bet it's Tommy Riley.
Who is Tommy Riley, Sherman?
He's the kid that lives next door.
And he's a bandit?
Well, he cheats at marbles.
The bandit we're going to visit cheated at everything. We're off to Missouri, my boy, in the year 1872, and the subject of our trip, Jesse James. Transportation, courtesy of the Wayback Machine, was breathtaking. However, we were a trifle surprised to discover the Wayback deposited us aboard a train.
Something must be wrong with the Wayback, Mr. Peabody. I don't see Jesse James.
We didn't see anyone, for that matter. The car was empty, or was, until the conductor entered.
Mr. Conductor, could you tell us, please, sir, if...
Down, Sherman. Down, boy.
What is it, Mr. Peabody?
The train is being attacked. A strategically placed boulder caused the train to grind to a halt.
All right, you varmints. Disembark the train.
Well, the only varmints on the train were Sherman, yours truly, the engineer, and the aforementioned conductor. And the conductor had a gun.
Oh, boy, I'll bet he'll surprise somebody.
He did. Us.
Is that all the passengers, Jesse?
That's all, Frank. This is going to be one of our poorest robberies yet.
Oh, my gosh, the conductor's Jesse James.
And the other is his brother, Frank. We were ordered to surrender all our valuables.
1 oil can, a package of bubble gum, and a copy of the journal.
Of course, the journal was mine.
This is what I call a pretty poor haul.
Listen, Jesse, why don't we shoot these here critters and steal the train?
Now, what would we do with the train?
Put it under the tree next Christmas?
Frank. You may be my brother, but you're pretty dumb. You know we ain't got no tree. Now, let's get going. We sure was lucky, mister. We lost an oil can, some bubble gum, and a newspaper. We could have lost our lives. Well, I'll get old Bessie fired up and we'll get out of here.
The engineer miscalculated our total loss. It seemed we were also minus one little boy, Sherman. Sherman!
If you're looking for the little feller, he rode that away.
With Jesse James?
Right. One of them outlaws tossed our valuables into a sack, and the little boy, he crawled inside to get his gum back. You coming, mister? I got a schedule to keep.
No, you go ahead. I have some retrieving to do. Being an ace tracker, and an ace everything as far as that's concerned, I was able to reach the James cabin by nightfall.
Then it's all settled. We'll stick up the Denver bank at 9 tomorrow.
But Denver's in Colorado, Jesse.
See, that's right. Well, we'll make a St. Louis then. All right, hit the hay, boys. We got some hard riding ahead of us.
No sooner were the desperados asleep than I entered their hideout and cautiously approached the sack lying in the corner. Sherman?
That's you, Mr. Peabody?
Be very quiet. I threw the sack over my shoulder and tried to sneak back out of the cabin. Unfortunately...
Hey, what's going on here?
Shh, 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 shh. Go back to sleep. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
Once outside the shack, I emptied the contents of the sack.
Hi, Mr. Peabody.
We must warn the bank, my boy, that Jesse James intends to rob it.
Won't Jesse get to St. Louis before we do?
I doubt it. You see, I took the oil can and liberally greased the corral. Even at that moment, Jesse and his boys were going in every direction but St. Louis.
Are you sure the James gang is coming?
Positive, sir. We delayed them for an hour or so, but they'll be here. By the way, where are the gold sacks?
On the floor there. But look, Mr. Peabody, if your plan don't work...
My plans always work. Sherman and I transported the heavy sacks to a balcony just over the front entrance. We didn't have long to wait before...
It's Jesse James. He's riding into town on some slippery horses.
Now remember, Sherman, aerial bombardment is quite simple if you keep your eye on the target and allow for the wind. You can imagine what a shock it was to the first outlaw who entered the bank.
Hands up, everybody. This here's...
14 men demanded gold and got it. However, Jesse and Frank James weren't among them. In fact, as we glanced out a window, they and a bearded man blowing a bugle went riding out of town.
Well, we saved the bank, Mr. Peabody, but the James brothers got away.
Yes, that fellow blew his bugle and alarmed Jesse and Frank.
Wonder who he was.
That's their younger brother, undoubtedly the most talented bearded bugler of all time.
Really? I don't think I've ever heard of him.
You never heard of Harry James?
Our plot has reached such a state of confusion that I think I'll let our cast try and explain it.
Well, I, Rocky, or Porthole,
You see what I mean?
am inside Chateaubriand's dankest dungeon.
And I, Bullwinkle, alias Aramus, am outside Chateaubriand trying to rescue Rocky.
Yes, but I, Rocky, don't want to be rescued until I find out where the king of applesauce Lorraine is.
Yes, but I, Bullwinkle, don't know that.
What about you, Athos?
I, Athos, have a splitting headache.
Well, that's understandable, for it was the aging Musketeer's idea to bribe a guard and gain access to the chateau. Only the guard turned out to be Francois Villain.
All three of you will stay in there until you rot.
It got progressively rottener, for just as we closed our preceding installment, the walls of the cell began to tremble.
Hokey smokes, it feels like an earthquake.
Quick, do something.
I've got an idea.
What?
Let's do the recap over and change the plot so that we're somewhere in the South Pacific.
But there was no time to do that, for suddenly a section of the far wall crashed to the floor in a million pieces.
Look, fellas, a passageway.
They entered the dim, cobwebby corridor, only to discover it led to 3 more corridors.
Oh, fine. Now we gotta make a choice.
I say, let's take the one on the left, right?
I prefer the one in the middle.
Tell you what, we'll each take one. Maybe one of us can find the king and a way out of here.
It sounded like the right thing to do. However, there were complications. Take Bullwinkle, for instance. His corridor led to a long flight of steps that came to a dead end.
Looks like I've reached an impasse.
Actually, it was a wall, but luck was with him, for on the other side was a huge picture of the Cathedral of Notre Dame. It was a simple matter to open one of the doors, come downstairs, and continue his search. Athos faced a similar problem, for his corridor led to the brink of a 200-foot drop. But although the corridor stopped, Athos didn't. Strangely enough, what he fell into was Chateaubriand's indoor pool. And instead of the guards grabbing him, they applauded him.
Beautiful dive, monsieur.
C'est magnifique!
Athos emerged from the water, bowed gracefully, and continued onward. As for Rocky, his corridor eventually narrowed to a point where it was only 1 foot high, and even more puzzling was the fact that he was knee-deep in jewels and coins.
Well, at least it's a safe place to keep money.
Safe is right, for that's exactly what it was, a wall safe belonging to Francois Villain.
I think I will count my goodies.
But instead of bringing out the crown jewels, he brought out a flying squirrel.
You!
Me!
Rocky bolted out of the room and down the hall.
Guards, arrest him!
A frantic search was launched but proved fruitless, for Rocky had ducked into a room and wisely hung out a Do Not Disturb sign on the doorknob.
Well, monsieur, are you two a prisoner?
Turning, Rocky came face to face with the king of applesauce Lorraine.
Your Highness.
Yes, I am your highness.
How come you're wearing a girdle?
They couldn't find an iron mask, so they put me in this.
Shh! Somebody's coming in.
That somebody was, of all people,
Bullwinkle!
Hi, Rock. Who's your friend?
That's the king of applesauce Lorraine.
Well, if it is, then who's this?
And there, standing at Bullwinkle's side, was another man who looked like the king. We'll learn the answer in A Raw Deal, or 2 Aces and a Pair of Kings.